Welcome to Courtside, everyone, a discussion of the post-election litigation brought by Donald Trump. It is day 62 after the election, and today, stay for the show. I'm not going to be singing today. Before getting into the Trump tapes, I want to do a quick recap of some of the litigation because we have a new development today. Yes, there's been yet another loss, this time in Washington, D.C. This is one of the big ones, a mishmash of allegations against the elections in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona filed by the Trumpistas. They filed it in Washington, D.C., and a highly respected federal judge, Judge Boasberg, threw it out. Here's how his opinion begins. Quote, plaintiffs' aim in this election's challenge are bold indeed. They ask this court to declare unconstitutional several decades-old federal laws, to invalidate multiple state laws, to ignore certain Supreme Court decisions, and the coup de grace to enjoin the U.S. Congress from counting the electoral votes on January 6th. The judge didn't pull any punches. Quote, in addition to being filed on behalf of plaintiffs without standing and in the wrong court and with no effort to even serve their adversaries, this suit rests on a fundamental and obvious misreading of the Constitution. It would be risible were its target not so grave, the undermining of a democratic election for the president. And at the end of the opinion, the judge went on to say to refer the attorneys who filed this lawsuit to the bar for professional discipline. In other news, Dominion announced that they would sue Sidney Powell for defamation, and they said they were exploring suits against Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, will have no immunity whatsoever once he leaves office in 16 days. And Vice President Pence and President Trump heard a last-minute pitch from Rudy Giuliani today at the White House about how Pence can interfere with the election on January 6th. Good luck. I mean, today, even Senator Jack Danforth, a brilliant conservative senator, lambasted Senator Hawley and others for this, saying, quote, it is the opposite of conservative. It's radical. What would our grandchildren think? And speaking of what our grandchildren will think, let's talk more about the Trump tapes. It looks more like Donald Trump will finally be getting all those investigations he's been asking for. And, you know, we've heard a lot of talk from him about voter fraud, but you want to know what voter fraud looks really like? Someone saying in a supposedly secret phone call, quote, I just want to find 11,780 votes. In America, you don't just find votes, you count them. And you don't go looking for the precise number of votes that you need to flip an election. You go looking for the truth. And most strikingly, Trump in that phone call, we now have the full hour, threatened the Georgia officials with criminal prosecution if they didn't comply with his demands. Man, if this is how Donald Trump sounds with his lawyers in the room, imagine what he's going to say tonight at the rally in Georgia. And when people say this is undemocratic, this isn't some overheated rhetoric. It is literally the dictionary definition of what anti-democratic is. There are federal and state laws that bar election interference and also solicitation with election interference, asking someone to interfere with an election. And there are federal and state crimes here that are very much at play. Interestingly, the federal prosecutor in Atlanta that would have investigated these crimes suddenly resigned today. In the states, however, there have been calls already in Georgia by Georgia officials for both the state and for Fulton County to investigate this behavior by Donald Trump. Now, so you've got state investigations, federal investigations, and local investigations. One place we're not hearing anything about investigating the Trump tapes, Congress. I mean, Ted Cruz talks a lot about supposed voter interference and the like. I can't wait for Ted Cruz to announce his investigation into unprecedented allegations that the president tried to bully a state official into manufacturing votes for him. I mean, in this sense, I'm seriously in awe of Donald Trump's ability to take mainstream Republicans like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and expose their absurdity far better than any Democrats could. He's a one-man divination rod, exposing people's true colors. And for Donald Trump, man, what a silly plan with Georgia. Pressuring those officials? What do you think that's even going to get you? Georgia has 16 electoral votes. You're down by 36 votes. You got to wonder, what was Donald Trump's plan here? Was his plan to just go knocking state by state like the world's only mob-affiliated Girl Scout or something? And now we are learning that 12 senators and 140 members of Congress want to support this effort on Wednesday and claim that the vice president should be able to throw out the votes of every American and decide for himself who is the president. We've talked about this before, but I want to put this in very simple terms. This would be the largest act of disenfranchisement in modern history, and certainly the largest in the entire history of the United States. They're talking about throwing out over 140 million votes and letting some dude decide, Mike Pence. And I got to say, if there was one person I was going to give this call to, I don't think Mike Pence would be at the top of my list, or frankly, almost any Americans. I mean, there's a potted plant there. Give it to that. Maybe the same thing. So, 60 courts at this point have looked into these allegations, 61, and they've rejected them. So you have federal and state courts, including Trump's appointees, rejecting this. You have Trump's FBI rejecting it. You have Trump's favorite attorney general, Bill Barr, rejecting it. You have Georgia's Republican governor and the Georgia Republican Secretary of State rejecting it. You had multiple recounts in Georgia rejecting it, and even Mitch McConnell rejected it. And so, given all of that, I think the remedy here isn't just a criminal investigation, but it's one about impeachment. And I've laid out the case in the New York Times just a few hours ago. And look, I know we're all sick of impeachment, but I want you to consider three things. First, Donald Trump stands accused of the very same thing as last time, abuse of power. Last time, he tried to cheat with a foreign power to help him on his reelection. This time, he's trying to cheat with a domestic one and seek help. But it's the same basic thing. Second, our founders understood impeachment wasn't just for removal from office, but for disqualifying someone from future office holding. That's expressly in the Constitution itself. And third, I think we have to send some sort of signal that the president's behavior is impermissible in a democracy and that there will be consequences. You don't just get off from consequences because it's the end of your term. I mean, after all, Trump is flexing the powers of the presidency, including threatening jail time of these Georgia officials. So it's not like he's not acting as president. He is. And in the end, to me, this is about principle. A principle that America is better than this cheating. A principle that America is better than this losing, divisive president. And so, in the end, that's it really for tonight. I can't believe Donald Trump has managed to take the fun out of watching him have a meltdown, but that's where we are. I will see you tomorrow.